you know, stick eraser and electric eraser might be the best helper when you're doing realistic portrait drawing. I will show you how. How can we give realistic details with these erasers? I'm going to show you while we are drawing together Kangana Ranaut's portrait. So ladies, try not to be jealous because she has some gorgeous hair and earrings. If you want to look at my full-time tutorials, please check out my Patreon. Now, it's time to see how do we give realistic details with these erasers. Come on. So when we think about where we use the stick eraser and electric eraser the most is probably when we give the highlights in the eye and the eyeball and maybe the white of the eye. Before we move on, I just wanted to show you one more place that we use a lot of stick eraser is here, the tear duct area of our eyes. Now, if you're ready, let's talk about where we can use stick eraser to make our realistic portrait even more realistic. The first one is to fix things in very narrow areas, such as this very small area here, and I saw that they're uneven. So in order to correct the right eye, I use my electric eraser and boom, it was already fixed. It is so easy. Another one I did is just this neck area here. There was a little bit of problem there. I had to make the neck thinner. So to do that, I use my stick eraser. So where we don't use stick eraser is usually the larger areas on the face. For example, the nose, the cheek, chin, neck area, or forehead. We don't use stick eraser there because they are not lines. They are mostly large areas. For that, we usually use our kneaded eraser. Kneaded eraser is great in terms of creating that smooth transition with the middle tones or shadows. Because if we use stick eraser there, it's going to be just more like lines. We don't want that. Now I'm going to show you a very practical way of doing hair. It saves you so much time. If you do curly hair with graphite pencils, it takes forever. But if you create a layer of graphite pencils or a layer of charcoal and then go on top of it with your stick eraser and highlight the highlighted areas of the curls, then you get a very fast, very realistic hair detail. But how do you look at the hair? We are not drawing hair by hair, but we are just looking at lumps of the hair. So let's look at these sections together. Here you see that, you know, the hair is going up and down direction. And then here you see the same thing, it's just right here. And I also see another form right here and then two other forms right here. Sometimes it's complicated though, just like this red arrow shows, because it looks very kind of, you know, on top of each other and there's no certain direction of the hair. Then just draw what you see. For the clothing detail, I literally did the same technique that I did for the hair. I created a very nice charcoal layer and on top of it I went with my electric eraser to do the floral design. So especially for laces or those kind of difficult patterns for clothing, you can use this method very easily. It saves you so much time. If you want to lighten up some parts, make it lighter gray, then you can pick up the charcoal with your tissue as well. It's just very easy when you use charcoal. Let's talk about the lip details. So for the lip details, the first thing I do is creating the base layer and then give the basic shadows and of course the lines. The middle line is always the darkest and there are lip lines. After drawing those lip lines with my 4B or 3B pencil, then I blend them with Q-tip. Afterwards, I have to do the highlights, and for the highlights I think electric eraser works the best here because it gives the widest result. Some dots and some lines, whatever I see in the reference photo, I apply it exactly the same on my drawing, and it looks amazing in the end, I think. And the other half of the hair, I also use my stick eraser, of course, but I want to tell you one more technique that I'm using. So, you know, some curls on the black look white, of course, but they continue out. So they're kind of out of the frame. What can I do is when they go out, they become my charcoal pencil. So I start with my eraser and I continue with my charcoal pencil. And of course, all that flying hair needs to be there because we want it to look realistic. For the accessories, for the earrings and other jewelry, it can be necklace too. Again, creating a dark background first and then going in with your eraser saves you, again, a lot of time. But don't forget to give some shadows right after you use your eraser, because otherwise it's not going to have like this 3D effect. Maybe I had 2 or 3 layers here that I didn't show you right away, but you can use layers to build up those shadows, and in the end with your charcoal pencil you can add the darkest parts, and with your eraser you can do the lightest parts. You will have all that shine. One more thing about the hair I forgot to tell you is the roots of the hair. Unfortunately, with charcoal pencil we cannot get that fine details because they're not like graphite pencils. But in order to erase that very thick pointy effect, we can use our stick erasers, and then after that we can go to the root of the hair and add some more highlighted hair. Of course, I did the same thing for the eyebrows as well. I made the eyebrows with charcoal pencil, then I blended them with my blending stump, and I added all the details, all the highlighted hair with my eraser pencil, or stick eraser, or electric eraser, all of them. Let's talk about ear. So ear has some linear structures too, right? So we want to give highlights, but then we cannot go in with our kneaded eraser because our kneaded eraser is bigger and it might pick up other charcoal around. So we don't want that. So what can we do? We can use our stick eraser and we can go around that highlighted linear areas. Of course, we have to do a multiple of layers, and don't forget, each time you erase something, don't forget to blend it again. Doesn't have to be a heavy blending, but just blend at least a little bit. After all that erasing, of course, we will have the bits. How are we going to get rid of those bits? It's just, don't do it with your hand, especially if you're working with charcoal. Try to get a piece of tissue, a clean tissue, and sweep it. Just like that. Please try not to touch the charcoal when you're doing that, because then you might ruin your drawing. So finally, when you finish, in order to clean the charcoal on your hands, you can use dish soap, because normal soap, hand soap, is not going to work that well. This is it, guys. I hope you find it helpful. I will see you in my next video. Bye! Thanks for watching my video. If you like my videos, please don't forget to subscribe. And for my real-time narrated tutorials, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/Ece Gurler. Stay with art and love.